Not live. Am I live? Is it showing that I'm live? Is it? Oh, now I'm live. There you go. We good?
It's always
Cool.
that delay,
It's
yeah.
always, all right. So I guess I can start all over again because I was telling myself like, you know what? I need to slow down with the profanity and the cursing in my channels. But immediately, like, I just take damage once and I'm already like, and you just cursing up a storm. I'm like, oh, that's my brand. So,
Yep.
anyways,
I, Plus,
shut up.
it's like so much. Like, you shouldn't be worried about cursing with all the fucking gore and shit that's
Yo,
that's happening on the screen.
what's up, Aaron? What?
Hey, Aaron. Cute.
My boy Antonio.
Antonio.
Everybody see you. Yo, shout out to the squad, no tigre. Hey, yo, real quick. So I'm gonna get this out the way right off the bat. Right? This is gonna be a spoiler heavy talk on The Last of Us 2. If you have any inclination of playing this game, I mean, I think what is like the statute limitation? A week before you get your shit together and play. Damn, already, and you play it. This is it. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna go heavy on the spoilers. You know, we got we got Ree from IFLC who was playing the game at the same time as me. We were kind of going hand in hand in this, and we have
Yep.
similar and different opinions about it. So, without further ado, oh, they get it. If they're here, they're okay with the spoilers. You're right, Aaron. But you never know, man. People be coming here like, "Hey, bro, what happened to a spoiler warning?" I'm like, "Oh, dude. I
There it is.
mean,
There it is.
there it is. You know what I mean?"
I mean, how can you talk about this game without spoilers?
It's hard. It's hard to talk about this game without the spoiler because, like, getting the obvious one right off the bat, Joel dies within less than an hour of the game, right? And he like it was like that, right? Now here goes the biggest complaint that I've seen, not from me, but the biggest complaint that I've seen that people is like, oh my god. Aside from the fact that Joel is all beloved and like his death, I hate when people say that his death was cheap, right?
Yeah, that's fucked. I disagree. But yeah, you say what you want to say about it because I'll chime in.
To me, like, so here's my 2 cents when it comes down to death. In real life, death is cheap. Death is inherently cheap. Very rarely do we, you know what I mean, us
Get to
humans,
Karendi.
us mortals, you know what I mean? We don't get the slow motion, the slow realization moments, the music, the doves flying by, like the metaphorical leaf that is falling, that when it hits the ground, that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And when a game that is titled The Last of Us, you know what I mean, and he dies just like that in an instant, people was like, oh, he did that for the sake of shock. I'm like, there might be some truth in there, right? But let's look at the fact that nobody here is untouchable. Nobody here, like, that was the image. And like, in Ellie told Dina on those like little, I call them the Atreus and Cradle talks, when they're like, on the horses and they have like these random conversations. Dina did ask him, like, it was a throwaway line. It's like, well, so do you have any idea why anybody will want him dead? And she goes like, it could be for any amount of
See,
reason.
this is what I hate so much, Cypher, is like people always like to forget that Joel is not a good dude. He's not a good dude. He's never been a good dude. He doomed humanity to not having a cure because he wanted to save Ellie. That we can all sort of agree. We would probably do the same
Mhm.
in his shoes, right? But I was saying to you in the Facebook chat we had before
Mhm.
this, like in the first game, they get attacked by hunters. A guy comes out and he pretends to be wounded, and he's
Mhm.
like, "No, keep driving." And
She's not even
Ellie
hurt.
asks him, yeah, Ellie asks him, like, how did you know? So they walk into this fucking shop and they're chopping up people and they're eating people, they're looting. And it's almost like the Holocaust, right? There's like
Right.
piles of shoes, it's
Mm.
fucked. And she's like, how did you know? And he's like, I've been on both sides of it. And even Tommy has said to him, like, the shit we did to survive in the beginning
Mhm.
wasn't worth it. He has done bad shit. He's been a hunter, he's killed a fuck ton of people, he's a smuggler, like, he's not a good person. And he has pissed off so many people that, like, I'm sure you had the same thing when I first was introduced to Abby. I'm like, who could she could be from here, she could be from here, she could be from here, like, just from the first game, because he's killed and maimed so many people. And people like to forget that he's not a good guy, and he deserved, I think, that ending. I would have been pissed. Lots of people say he was done wrong because of how he died. I think I disagree with that, because he
Thanos was a good
he
guy
come
too.
I just saw that, yeah. That's so
I mean, you're not
funny.
wrong.
Thanos did nothing wrong. But yeah, he keeps coming back in flashbacks. It's not like you never see him again. Like, he is a prominent character throughout the game. So if that hadn't happened, I might agree and say, yeah, he was done wrong. But he was still a featured character with scenes in the game. Like, his death was a catalyst for the entire plot.
Okay, but we like, and here's the big thing that we tend to forget. This game was never about Joel. You know what I mean? The first one and the second one. The first one was about Ellie, right? You know what I mean? It was about Ellie. Yes, you play as Joel in the majority of it, but there's a portion when you control Ellie. The DLC, the expansion, was about Ellie. You know what I mean? So the Joel was just a means to an end. Like, yes, he become like he got what's going on, Jr. Yo, oh wow, using your government instead of your strange.
How are ya?
But but to me, it's like Joe was a smuggler. He killed like this was his everyday life, and you know after he lost his daughter, you could argue he was doing things to survive, like survival was his mean, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. Point is, right, that LA, made him, you could say, believe again, have hope. I mean, everybody was super laxing Jackson and whatnot. Now, it was naive. I'll concede this. It was naive of everybody, Tommy and Joe included, even Ellie, to think that double crossing a faction as big as the Fireflies, a faction that was rivaling the world's the old world established organization, which was the military at this point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The Fireflies was a rebellion so big that they could rival. You know what I mean? They can mount they were mounting a full insurrection, right? Now, it's you can't believe the fact that you did so many people dirty, especially like somebody like Marlene, right? And then not have any repercussions off of that. You know what I mean? If anything,
that's the big thing too. Is like this whole series from the beginning has been about consequence. There is consequence for your action. People get traumatized, they get captured, they get maimed, they lose bits of their body. There's shit that happens to everyone in the first one, and people are genuinely surprised when there's more trauma in the second one. That makes no sense to me. What did you think was going to happen?
Well, again, it's the fact that man, fuck it, I don't care who gets mad about this. It's the fact that it was Abby the one who killed him. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Because Joel was portrayed as this indestructible daredevil like dude with his earring ability that was like OP as hell in the game. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he got killed the way he did, like, you know what I mean? And people are like, oh, he deserved better. I'm like, man, like, by that logic, a majority of us mortal, us peasants, deserve better than what we get. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes down to death, it just comes. It takes you. That's it. You're done. No ceremony. Like, I mean, like, the ceremony comes after. The funeral comes after. The cremation, if you're lucky enough, you know what I mean? That comes after. Yep. Very few of us are in a deathbed, live a full life with all your loved ones in that particular room. You know what I mean? And let's say that you go by the, what is conceived as the natural order of things, that, you know what I mean, it's your kids and your grandkids, you know what I mean? You haven't lost nobody, you're the oldest one in your, family, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean, you get to say your P's, everything, everybody's there, and then you die, right? Very few, and I mean very few people get to live that. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it could happen to any of us. I can go now, I can go to the grocery store after I'm done with this, and then boom, car accident, knock on wood, and all of a sudden be like, it happened. You know what I mean? Yep. What can you do? Yep. And that's what happened to Joel. The fact is that he crossed people. Now, here's my issue with that. So, now, when it comes down to the whole Joel's death situation, the only thing that the game could not make me care for was Abby's dad, per se. Only because, not because it was like the whole forced, like, look, he cares for animals. Look, he's such a great father. No, that was cute and all. What I didn't like is the fact that when him and Marlene are arguing, he's like conflicted, but we need to do this. We need to save the world, this and that, but we need to kill her. And then Marlene's like, what have been Abby? He never answered. I mean, Abby is listening, but then she goes like, I need to tell Joe. He goes like, but why? He's like, he deserves to know. He traveled across country. At no point, neither did Marlene, nor Abby, nor her dad were like, y'all want to ask Ellie? She's okay with this?
I was just going to say the same thing. That is my one problem with it, is like, she's unconscious, she's kept unconscious, and at no point are they like, maybe we should ask her how she feels about it. They're just like, yeah, let's go straight into surgery. And I'm like still trying to reconcile that in my head a bit, because if they're supposed to be decent people, you think like they'd at least have a chance, like a try at explaining to her why it's so important, because we all know like Ellie wanted to go through with it, right? Yeah. Like, she's got that survivor's guilt now because she knows. But we all knew at the end of the first one that she didn't believe Joel. and now that's finally come to fruition. We've seen like what the aftermath of that was. But yeah, that whole consenting surgery thing
That
fucked
was like
with me too. I was
everybody
like,
was
what?
included in that conversation except for Ellie. Like at no point did you like even nudge her like, hey, heads up, you might not survive this. Now here's where I say, and I'm going off for what's going on real world. This real world pandemic that's going on with current technology and all the resources available. We got something right now that is ravaging the world. Right? Let's talk about would it be possible to, like, if I was Joe, right? People are like, oh, excluding the love for Ellie, right? We're talking about a faction that is a rebellion. This cure, let's say if everything goes well and they find a cure, that cure would have been used for evil. You know what I mean? Because whoever holds that cure holds the key to the world. You are the humanity savior, and then you have a rebellion over here dictating who and who. Because let's face it, even then, the Fireflies weren't good at people either. You know what I mean? They were. You know what I mean? They were. Marlene was very open to very nefarious, very you know what I mean? How about this? Like, any means necessary to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? And like, even in that throwaway line, he's like, "Oh, how many Fireflies have died for this cause? Like that was their choice." You know what I mean, like the Fireflies were all over the place. So even that, even like in a world like that, in a dystopian world like that, hell, even in today's world, right? A cure of that magnitude, like if whatever nation finds the cure for COVID-19 right now, you know what I mean? That nation will have the world by its figurative, metaphorical balls. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? They can name their price. They can, you know what I mean? They can do any public outroar, chaos, whatever they want. You know what I mean? We hold the key to your salvation. What you gonna do? You know what I mean?
That's something I've seen people getting frustrated with the second one is like, they're like, what's the point of having a cure for a world this fucked up and brutal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, at the same time, I think the entire meaning of those two games, and correct, like you tell me if you've got a different opinion, but is that everyone is both good and bad. There is no like bad guy, there is no good guy. Everyone does bad shit, everyone does good shit. Like it's a mix of that's the whole point, right? It's like you're supposed to look at who you think is the enemy and be like, oh, actually empathize with this person, and maybe they're not a villain, they're just a person,
you actually that's the best segue to my next point, right? Like how Abby became such a hated character. Now, so the biggest complaint that well, I'm gonna talk about for myself first. The biggest complaint that I have with the game itself was the overall structure of the narrative, not the narrative, the structure of the narrative, right? I'm not gonna lie, right? So you start as Ellie, you get invested in her whole rampage, everything, and then you get to the confrontation, and it cuts to black, right? All of a sudden, you got to start from day one Seattle or chapter one, whatever you would call it, with Abby, and you got to go through the. It was hard to even get invested in her first couple of flashbacks and stuff like that, because I'm over here like, dude, I just upgrade all these damn weapons. Now I gotta care for. I gotta learn to care for her friends, and even then, like caring for her side of the group was hard because I already know that Ellie and Tommy clapped them all. So it was hard for me to be like, I want to see your side of the story. I just wanted to get like what's happening at the theater. That's all I can think about. It's not till like a good halfway to like the 3-4, like the, let's say like the 4 to 5 hour mark that I was like, okay, Abby, okay, I see, I see the potential. Now, the thing is, people were here like, oh yeah, they were forcing us to like Abby, to see things from her perspective. I don't think that was the goal. And in my opinion, I don't think the goal was for us to like Abby or even sympathize with her. Our point is, like you said before, is the fact that Abby is the villain of Ellie's story. Vice versa. If the Last of Us one was about Abby and her pops, you know what I mean? And she finally by game 2 kills Joel. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be having this conversation. There wouldn't be this debate. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's not that we were supposed to care for Abby or love her as a character and whatnot. No, we were supposed to be mad. We were supposed to be, but at the same time, it's also kind of like, yeah, but she didn't kill a saint. She didn't kill this, I never done wrong, you know what I mean? Like, no, she killed a dude who, for other people, was that villain.
That's exactly right. And don't get me wrong, I love Joel as a character. I think he's very, very interesting and charming and like lovable, and he's got a cool arc. I'm not saying that he wasn't like redeemable. I think everyone's redeemable, and that's what this whole game is trying to get across.
Yeah.
Like even in the combat, right? You've got people yelling out names of their friends when they get killed by either Abby or Ellie. So like, and then you meet those people, you know, as the other character before you kill them as the other one. You know, like there's all this like humanizing of everybody, because the whole idea, I think, is like these are fully fleshed out characters. It's a character narrative. They did take a risk with the way that they told the story, but to me, it kind of reminds me of Pulp Fiction, where you've got like you've got 4 or 5 major timelines, right? You've got like Ellie current, Ellie past, Abby current, Abby past, and then some Joel stuff in there as well, and all of it like converges, and information is released as you need it. Like there's definitely predictable parts to the plot, but for the most part I was invested because the characters were so fleshed out and so well acted. The cast is like incredible in this game.
The cast was awesome. Like everything. So, when it comes down to the actual acting of the game, yeah, I agree, it was superb. Now, here's where I disagree with you in the whole sense of like the structure of the story. To me, again, need help is because in a movie, it makes sense, or even or in a series. Let's go with a TV series, right? Let's look at like the Witcher, where like timeline was all over the place, right? For me, that makes sense, right? Because my job as the audience is just watch it, interpret it how I want it. When you're in a game, you're actually controlling these characters. You're actually doing everything. So it becomes a chore. When I just like, if I have to, like, to me, I would have much prefer if I like day one Seattle, Ellie, day one Abby, and then like I upgrade them to, you know what I mean, and we get to that confrontation, right? And then, you know what I mean, then the story split up however it's supposed to. Because so let's go with the flashbacks, right? As nice as it was, the museum's flashback was nice, but to me it was also unnecessary because I didn't need to know, I didn't need a refresher of Joel and Ellie's relationship. I mean, because the entirety of the game, I'm wondering like what caused, you know, the friction. We know that Ellie found out, but why? What happened? Yeah, I mean, and it's not to like the last half of the game, like I call it the Santa Barbara arc, right? That you start getting all the little bits and pieces of like the, you know, that confrontation, and like, you know, and mostly basically Ellie's guilt. You know what I mean? Because especially like the last flashback, the very last scene, or not the last scene, but like the scene. Right, the last flash, let's just call it, right, when she's over here trying to play the guitar, you know what I mean, and she can't because she doesn't have the fingers and whatnot, and she has a flashback of when she sees Joel after the party of what happened, and you know she's drinking coffee, and that reminds me like that throwaway line with Jesse and Ellie talking about how Joel loves coffee and is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Anyways, and you see the scene when she goes, you know what I mean, well no, he tells her like, hey, if I can go back in time, I will do it all over again. No regrets here, you know. And then she goes like, "Look, I'm mad at you. I don't know if I can forgive you, but I want to try, right?" And to me, that was like, man, that scene where there was placed perfectly, because when she's beating Abby, she's about to drown her. She's not seeing Joel as a bloody, disfigured, you know, as when Abby, you know, plunges.
Yeah, she's seeing him on the porch with his guitar. Yeah.
You know? And to me, it was more like, you know, she realized like killing Abby is not gonna stop the PTSD. You know what I mean? Well, because at the end of the day, aside, she's just mad she never got the opportunity to actually try to forgive him. Right? That was my takeaway.
100%. And that's shown with Abby too, right? Because she has recurring nightmares, and the nightmares improve as she helps those two Scar characters. Yeah. So the idea I think they're trying to convey is like, well, in my opinion, I don't know, what I took away from it was you can think that revenge is the right thing, and sometimes it even seems like helping people and revenge are the same thing. Like with Tommy, when he comes back and he fucking guilt trips Ellie into going back again, like you can see in her head she's like, okay, I need to get like penance, or like, yeah, make her pay basically. And then then she has that realization. But Abby has the same thing with her nightmares, where she's like figuring out that the faction she's in, the WLF, I think she says to Owen at one point, her partner or ex-partner, whatever you want to call him, she's like, what happened to us? And he's like, well, maybe we stopped looking for the light, which is a really cheesy, corny line, but the idea being like, she doesn't like the way that she's going, and she changes her arc, and she arguably changes it before Ellie does. Like Ellie is definitely at the end basically the bad guy.
So I say this, right? So two big things when it comes down to the WLF arc, and the Seraphites or war, right? That was just to me it was more of it was like a heavy-handed symbolic analogy or allegory, if you will, of, you know what I mean, when it comes down to like two political parties, right? Because people were talking about like, oh, they followed this prophet blindly to do this and that, but they were doing the same exact thing for Isaac. You know, you know what I mean? Like, Isaac, to me, Isaac was hyped as such a character, but like it was what he symbolized. Like, oh, yo, those Seraphites, those scars, they do fucked up things, they do messed up things. What's up, IFLC? They do all these messed up things, right? But then I'm over here like, but when you first get introduced to Isaac, he's torturing people. Every time you find a note of deserters, it's because the wolf has done some criminal, you know what I mean? So that's why she comes down to the realization and stuff. Now, here's where I say Abby and Ellie both having their own like the realization at a separate point. I think it's because the argument I've seen online, and this one is actually oh, that's Judah. Got it. So I'm gonna call IFLC Judah from now on. But the realization is, and people complain, it's like, well, that's messed up because Abby actually got her revenge. I'm like, yes, she got her revenge. That's cool, right? Yeah, I mean, and then she goes like, hey, she wasn't an unredeemable character because she never showed any remorse even after killing Joe and anything. I was like, well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing.
Though.
Well, let's I guess visible compared to Ellie, because like they always base it off when Ellie was torturing I forgot what her name, that girl at the basement.
Nora? Yeah.
Was it Nora? I always want to call her like Little Marlene because that's basically who she was, right?
Yeah.
So but anyways, like then Ellie was like, oh, shook and traumatized. I'm like, look, here's the difference in character, right? Ellie and Abby. Ellie grew up her entire life, majority of her life, right, in a QZ, a quarantine zone controlled by the military. She was another civilian, right? She didn't become this battle hardened so she started hanging out with Joe, and that was later in the process, you know what I mean, more, closer when Joe got injured, you know what I mean, where you control Ellie for that amount of time. Abby, after her father died, she found the WLF, the wolf, and dedicated the entirety of her life to become military. Even the way she upgrades by reading military magazines and stuff, like her, you know what I mean, everything, like her relationship with went to shit because she was like, look, dude, yeah, this is Q and all, I love this date, but we need to go back to training. You know what I mean? She had a single track mind. People are like, well, so the Ellie, like, yes, she did, but here's the difference. You know what I mean? When you grab somebody who is battle hardened, somebody who, like Mel said it, who, by the way, I hated that character, but Mel was like, hey, really, the WLF's top killing scars, like she pride herself to being the most badass, so when she meets Joe, she'll be ready. So obviously her approach to revenge and versus Ellie is gonna be a lot different. You know what I mean? She was a character that was, she designed her whole philosophy on revenge, where Ellie, it was a momentary thing. It was something that she needed to, let's say, like Ellie was living for the majority of her life a peaceful life. The most combat she's seen, and there was when they go on like the little patrols and stuff like that. Abby was in an actual warfare, like an actual war against the Sarah. So obviously both of the reactions would have been the same, but yeah.
That's exactly my argument for like why Joel got, for lack of a better word, soft. Like he's been in Jackson for maybe like 8-10 years at this point, and he has gotten comfortable, and that's why they are friendly with this group of people that they find. They're used to fighting infected and introducing new people into Jackson, right? So he doesn't have the guard up anymore. That's the reason why him and Tommy get jumped. And so many people, like, why would they be able to, like, why were they so relaxed? And it's like, well, they've like settled and shit.
That was like the dumbest argument. It's like, hey, how do they have the guard down? I'm like, dude, first of all, they just literally got done outrunning a whole horde. You know what I mean? And somebody said like, hey, this place is safe. Even in that world, even if you're like the most like, I don't trust you, you're gonna be like, okay, I don't trust you, but there's also a horde of infected. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, I get bitten once and I turn. You know what I mean? So where will you take your chance, right? So to me, it was like that wasn't even a moment of him being soft. That was just a moment of opportunity. It just so happened that the people that he found, the people that were looking for him to kill him, You know,
I'm curious. I have a question for you. Why did you hate Mel?
I hated Mel because, okay, so Mel was designed in a way, well, like the same way, for the same reason I knew that Joe was gonna die, right? Mel was Mel felt like a check mark of all the sympathize with me, right? Hear me out, right? So it was like I'm pregnant with the ex partner of the character that I'm playing, who was a badass. You know what I mean? She got checked for active duty at almost 8 months pregnant. I'm like, first of all, who even, especially in like in a post-apocalyptic world, you would think, a pregnant woman would be like that is put her on a pedestal, like that's humanity's, next generation, right? So every chance she gets, she'll throw like little jabs at Abby, right? And all these things. So I'm like, okay, she's gonna come in danger. She's gonna become, or she's gonna slow down the pace. And even at the end when she out of nowhere, and this is what again, I get like the whole sympathetic thing, out of nowhere she's like, Abby, you're a bad person because Owen doesn't see it, but I see it. You don't care for these kids. I'm like, she just literally risked going all the way back to pick up these kids, and both Scar and WLF infested. They going back to her headquarters. She's been able for 2 days. She went big ass crane bridge. She did all this to get you medical supplies to save this girl, and you still think she don't care? That is a long walk to impress her dude. And to me, you know what I mean? And mind you, I'm not into dudes like that, but I don't even think Owen's worth that much. You know what I'm saying? Like even if he was like I'm like if there was like, I don't know, comment section wasn't really attractive guy, I would be like, I don't know, I can't think of it as like some dude. Let's say Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I'm like, yeah, dude, hell yeah, I'll go get you some medical supplies. You know what I mean? But it was just, she was doing it for the kids, and then like Mel just all of a sudden like, I'm gonna be mean to you just so they can hit you right in the gut because you know that Ellie's gonna kill her, right?
My theory with that is like, so she left to get supplies, and Owen was like, let's talk about how we fucked last night. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that he told Mel while she was gone, mm-hmm. and that's why Mel's like got the real, she's basically said like, if you go to Santa Barbara, I'm not going, because she's always had the suspicion in her mind because they arrived at the Wolf together. Mm-hmm. They split because of what you said, like Abby went a more military path.
She just wanted to kill Joan. That's her only.
Yeah. But that's my theory, is like the reason she said you're full of shit is because like she's just found out that she's fucked her boyfriend who she's pregnant to, so she's like, get fucked.
Which I get it. To me, it's just like the fact I would have gotten the same, I guess in. Let me face this. If she wasn't pregnant, I would have gotten the same. Like it would have accomplished the same thing. That's basically what I'm trying to say. If she like, they had to make her not just pregnant, but like about to pop. I was just like, look, man, if they give me a quick time event mini game of like helping her give birth while fighting like a tower defense section, I have to kill infested while she's like having contractions. I'm a loser, you know what I mean? Because like even in the sense that I'm like, why are they they barely clear me for active duty? I'm like, why do you even request that? Like, why? Like, you should be nowhere near, like, I can't climb that. Because I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, if she would have just been always... Huh?
I've seen that argument from a lot of people saying, like, why would they clear an 8-month pregnant active woman for duty? But I think people forget, like, she's also a medic. Like, she's one of the few medics that they've got. She's a high-up surgeon because she was trained by old mate's dad.
More the reason, though. You told me...
Yeah, that's fair.
More the reason...
That's probably why they want her out on the field, if you want to argue that way. But the other thing too is like, Dina's pregnant, and the idea is like there's parallels in both lives, right? Yeah. So I can see why they've put the two together. But also, pregnant women don't like become disabled when they're pregnant. I know like it's very debilitating, and there's like a lot of shit you have to go through, especially in the first trimester with sickness and shit. But it's not like in this world you can basically be like, all right, I'm just going to stay at home. I think a lot of pregnant women would probably be out doing shit that they would, in 2020.
I get it, right? You're 100% right. However, we're talking about humanity as at the brink of extinction. We're talking about a woman who is also a medic. You know what I mean? Something that the Wolf made it very clear after losing Abby's dad. They're basically, Mel has to be the one who is training other future medics, right? So we got a woman who is, who has a kid, who's part of, to help humanity repopulate, right? She's a medic. She's also in charge of training other medics because, You know, so you have no business. They, you know what I mean, being nowhere near. Like, okay, so the parallel with Dina, I get that, right? But at least with Dina, they hit the facts like, oh, she started having symptoms on the way to Seattle, right? She was late on the way to Seattle. Like, hell, if they would have told me like, oh yeah, Mel's just like 4 or 5 months pregnant, I'm like, all right, cool. She was 8 months. That was my whole thing, like 8, and then like she made it to the. Go ahead.
The idea, right, was like if I had to put myself in Mel's shoes, I'd probably say the reason she was going out, even though she shouldn't have been, is because Owen was going out and picking up extra patrols, and she wanted to not get back at him, but like not be in their encampment and people being like, oh, where's Owen? Where's your baby daddy? And her being like, oh no, he's just out.
Happy. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's right.
But if I was Owen, and granted, that's another thing why I have like no love for Owen as well, is because Owen was like, dude, I'm going to Santa Barbara. Fuck them kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
like, fuck. Owen is selfish as fuck.
He was like, I'm out. I don't care about the wolf. I don't care about I don't care that she's pregnant. You know what I mean? Cool. But to me, it's like, at the same time, like if I put myself in Owen's shoes, like I'd be like, look, I get it, you're the medic and shit. You have no business, because look how easy they barely left half a mile outside the outside the damn I guess Fortress of the Wolf, like headquarters, like, because it was a stadium, right?
Oh, they got attacked.
They got attacked, and then not only that, even douchebag man, he's like, you two should sit in the back and talk. Like, really? You're gonna sit a pregnant woman
in the front,
in an open cab, like, and get. I'm like, and all these like when the truck like crashed, whatever, like, oh, that baby, she lost that baby. Same thing with Dina and Ellie took a whole explosion. Like, the only thing that was damaged was the horse, and like, I'm like, then Abby beat the hell out of Dina. I'm like, man, that baby is a miracle baby by all sense of the word, you know. So
very true.
But it's like I said, like the way, like the reason why I hate Mel, that's not because she was a pregnant woman, it's because of the situation that she was put as a pregnant woman. Now I'm like, look, man, I don't care how big of a douchebag Isaac is, but if Isaac is so meticulous as the notes you find in the game, like he's so precise, he should understand the value that this particular woman has. You know what I mean? Not because she's just pregnant, but because she is a medic in charge of training. She is, bro, that is the woman that should be hell. He should have been sending Abby like, yo, go tell Owen's bitch ass to get back here and be with his baby moms. You know what I mean?
That's it. And what did you think of the different factions? Like, what did you think of the Wolf and the Scars and the what were the other ones called? The Rattlers or whatever.
The Rattlers. So So okay, so I'm gonna go with my I like the Seraphites or the Scars and the Wolf. I like them because of how for gameplay reasons. I mean the Seraphites were old, you know, they fight with bows and arrows, or even though those random ones that show up with guns. I'm like, okay, we'll bend in the rules here, but you know, they whistle so you can't hear your hearing. You know what I mean? They'll sneak up on you and stuff like that. But where the Wolf is more aggressive, they'll shoot you, then they'll send like the whatever melee person they have in their squad to come flank you as you're getting shot. So I like that because it forced me to change my strategies. What they stood for, I also like the whole philosophy, because it was a level of hypocrisy that both Abby and Ellie, mostly Abby, had to deal with, because for them, you know, they saw as the Seraphites as fiends, like, how can you follow these prophets so blindly and do all these crazy things, but then ignoring the fact, you know what I mean, that she's doing the same thing for Isaac. You know what I mean? The same exact thing. So I think that's one thing that I really enjoyed, is that like everybody, we all form our own narratives in our head. You know what I mean? We always think that we're somehow, you know, in the right side of things. You know what I mean? One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist type of mentality. You know, and the only difference between these two is how each one has accepted the world. The Wolf wants to, you know, treat the world as a military state, I guess you can call it, or like the world they live in. You know, that's how you survive. You know what I mean? And for the most part, they're doing good. They got vehicles, they got horses. You know what I mean? They have a whole ecosystem in that stadium, where the Seraphites have a whole island. Everything works. You know what I mean? And then, but works for them per se. You know what I mean? Because there was some, like, you know what I mean, like what happens to the kid. You know what I mean? Yeah, Lev, that he was, you know, pedophilia got involved somehow again in this game too. Yeah, you know what I mean? But
child brides.
Yeah, child brides and other, you know what I mean? But to me, it's one of those things where you go like, whatever version of the world that you see is what you're trying to protect. And once that curtain falls and you see the truth for what it is, how Lev and Yara saw, you know, Abby at first, versus how they felt about her towards the end, I mean, it was a complete 180. Same thing with Abby, how she started seeing the world, how Lev became kind of like a surrogate younger brother, which leads me to the whole the ending of the game, right? So the biggest complaint, everybody, is the fact that Ellie didn't get her revenge or didn't kill Abby, and that Abby deserved death because she still ended up killing Joel, this and that. And to that argument, I say, fuck you.
Hey, there
you know what I mean? Yes, like honestly, I get it. I'm not gonna say that I don't, because I do. I get why, what I mean. But I also felt that fight brought me closure. One, the acting of that fight was awesome. It was visceral. It didn't feel Hollywood. I mean, it felt like two real life, two real humans really trying to kill each other, right? Like when Ellie's kind of cutting her up with the knife and Abby bites her finger, even when she was drowning her. Like, there's this particular facial expression that Ellie was doing. She's drowning her, right? There's anger, sadness, she's breaking down, there's a bit of satisfaction. And then when she stops and tells her to let her go, she's like, she has a whole breakdown, right? And to me, it was like, well, it's because of the whole, look at everything that she has lost to get here. Just to come to the realization in the process that wasn't gonna bring her peace. I mean, the PT,
everything.
I seen some mostly dudes being like, it's so realistic how that was handled, because even like how she left her perfect home to go after revenge. I'm like, dude, I seen guys leave home for less. You know what I mean? Like,
that's it. Plus, go ahead. I did not expect Tommy to survive. Like, he became the thing that the big thing that I took. Yeah, he got shot in the fucking head. But also, like, you see the results of Joel in Ellie and Tommy, right? Like, Joel was a revenge-driven person too. He was very antagonistic. He was very violent, and so Ellie copies part of what he does, right? Like, she does the like two people draw on a map thing. Like, so much of her arc is influenced by Joel, and Tommy is the exact same, because they both say to each other, if it was one of us, Joel would go after these people, right?
Yeah.
So that's the motivation behind the whole thing. And she's like realizing at the end, I think, like, maybe there are parts of Joel that I want and parts of Joel that I don't want to be. Like this PTSD that I'm having, these flashbacks and whatever, they're just either going to be there because of what you said, because of the no resolution of trying to have that relationship. I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder why she went back to the house.
I think that going back to the house, it was more symbolic than anything else. You know what I mean? Because it was to show us, the viewer or the player, that Dina, that Dina, was true to her word. Like, I'm not gonna do this again. Now, I said, like, and again, I said something like somebody else make a comment and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's just like it's messed up that Dina doesn't want Ellie to do this, because I mean, Abby did kill her baby daddy. I'm like, okay, but yes, it's a point where you cut your losses, you know what I'm saying? Like, for both of them, you know what I mean? Abby lost the entirety of her crew. I mean, she lost, Mel, her baby. She lost Owen. She lost Manny. By the way, how stereotypical that they had to make Manny? Like, oh my God. Like, I was like,
thinking that the whole way through.
I was like, it was so stereotypical, it was corny. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like,
right? When he's talking about them having whatever that drink was, and he's just like fucking chicks left and right.
It was like, so cringe, I'm like, bro, okay, let's say you are like big pimp, and I was like, this, like, it has to be like a total of maybe 100 females out there, you know what I mean? So everybody, like, to me, it was like, even they even gave him the old, stereotypical Latino father, take care of me, mijo. I'm like, hi, pops. Like, I was like, thank you. Like, you, like, it was like, so back, back to what I was saying about like, well, like, I dislike Mel and like even Joe's death. It's like they raised up so many death flags. Take care of my son. It's like, oh, he's gonna die. Like, immediately.
100%.
Same thing with Joe. Like,
same about Jesse. Like, people say Jesse was done wrong, Dina's baby daddy, because he like had a quick death that they didn't come back to. And I was like, but they did. They talked about it in Ellie's journal when she's at the house after, like, that Dina talks about him all the time, and that she doesn't like talking about Joel, but she wants JJ, who I'm assuming is like Jesse Joel or some shit.
Which is weird because like that kid is gonna grow all types of traumas. Like y'all gotta name me after these two dudes that are just super dead. Like
yeah, that's it. That baby was so fucking cute. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what I mean?
So
like I love the relationship between like the chemistry between Dina, like especially like that home life Dina and Ellie that was done awesome. Like how she was like, you know, carrying a baby and they call him Potato, and so everything like again. I think everything was acted out. I always go back to like my biggest complaint to me is always was the structure of the game because it's the only thing that will stop me from doing a second playthrough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I getcha. I think what alleviated that for me was like they've both got really different skill trees and weapons and gadgets, right? Like Abby has pipe bombs, and I fucking love the pipe bombs. Like
I'm a Molotov kind of guy.
She can punch infected where Ellie can't. Like she can punch clickers and shit because she's so much more buff, and she just felt different to play. Like she felt weightier, she felt stronger, she felt like more of a tank. So to me, the difference was there enough that it was enjoyable. It was like kind of like a switch to a new thing. But I totally get where you're coming from in terms of like, oh, I just upgraded all this shit and now it's gone.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like one, so at the beginning of the game, I kid you not. Like when I started as Ellie, right? When I'm still like trying to get my bearings, I was doing everything as stealthy as possible. Once I got a handle like of the game, I turned Ellie into Jane Wick. I was headshotting just like I was torturing, dude. Like after I found out that you have to like the automatic aiming for like throwing stuff, I wasn't even crafting healing. It was like, oh, I got some alcohol, Molotov. I was burning everything in sight. It just be like, screw it. And then
I found that I was playing on normal, but I was getting way too many materials. So I went the same way. I ended up just like swinging off ropes and jumping onto people, shooting out people's knees, and then coming up and whacking them on the head. Like
I was doing so much. Now, another complaint. This one is nitpicky. Before I get to like my real complaint about not the game itself, but the community. I get it. When it comes down to the melee weapons, like have given the durability that they had, you know what I mean, so the game would it become trivial and easy. I understand that, but I kind of disconnect from reality when like my crowbar snaps at the 4 swings. I'm like, that's reinforced metal, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, every death animation, like you shoot somebody to the neck, you can hear them choking on their blood, hit them with the shotgun, you know, you blew, you know, like that whole half of them blows. I mean, it's awesome, right? But I'm over here trying to like crowbar and like sometimes I don't even do the full swing. Like as she's doing the swing, the thing just snaps in half. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So now I gotta go, you know, that's why I prefer playing with Ellie, because Ellie, you know, she automatically starts shanking people, you know, where even like you can stealth kill with the knife, where, you know, where Abby had to craft the shivs. You know, so but that's just my minor complaint. My biggest complaint, honestly, is the damn fucking the bitch ass community. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I said I was gonna curse, but you know, it's
bad, man. Like you should not be sending death threats to people in any situation. Like
death threats, even, Laura Bailey's getting like rape, death threats, like all these things. And I'm like, not only that though, it's like I see these much larger content creators. Yeah, I mean, talking so much shit, like so much off the wall, like fucked up shit, and I'm like, yo, and seeing like so many people support them for what they're saying, you know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy. Like the most minor thing out of all this is people losing their shit, where it's like, yo, you can kill dogs. Oh my god, this game is fucking horrendous. You can kill dogs. This is fucked up.
Let's ignore the pedophilia and the like blatant sexism of the scars and the misogyny and the
that's cool. Hey, those are victimless crime, Reed. But the dogs, man. I killed Alice.
Dogs.
You know what I mean?
I felt because when you're shooting dogs as Ellie, right? They like even in they yell out bear at one point. They're like bear. Like they get sad. They get like there's still weight and gravitas to the dog deaths. Like. So you can pet the dogs.
I didn't enjoy killing the dogs, right? I didn't enjoy killing the dogs at all. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the first time like you find a horde of wolf with dogs. I said horde or a group of wolf. I guess with dogs. I was like, oh, I gotta kill the puppy. Until I saw the animation, one of them like bites my face off. I'm like, I'm shooting this damn dog. You know what I'm saying?
The exactly it. Like, I'm sorry, the world sucks. It's a horror game. Like, it's shitty.
It's a survival
That's
game. The,
it's a survival game.
it's
Yeah,
called The
that's my
Last of
biggest.
Us. The
That's
last
it.
remaining of like and it's crazy because this is the most minor, like it's like the most minor complaint that has been blown out of proportion. People like look, I get it. Like I honestly get it if you threw in the towel when you saw Joe die. I get it. You spend, you know, what I mean, you spent half the time like you were emotionally attached. I get it. Yeah, I mean, some people can't, you know, emotionally accept when their fictional character dies. You know, like I understand. You know, I love anime, and anime is notorious for killing characters you love, like
Think
almost
about
routinely.
how many times has Optimus Prime died? How many times has have
Pick
you
a
watched
Marvel
Darth
superhero.
Vader die? You know, like
Pick an X-Men.
I'm just saying, like there are so many times where this same shit has happened and people have not sent death threats and not written shit on the internet. Like, just it's fiction. If you don't like it, don't play it. That's the simple answer right
That
there.
is like the simple, like to me, like oh like and like Neil Druckmann was like he was sharing like um he was sharing it like the screenshots of like that his actors and actresses were, you know, receiving, like the ones that he was receiving, like the harassment, like the people, somebody, you know what's crazy, like then somebody was like made a video about like this particular, I don't even know his name. He hated the game, but he never played it. He saw PewDiePie play it, right? And I'm like, who gives a fuck what PewDiePie play? You know, likes or doesn't like. You know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, they kill a dog, I'm done. Like and like he shows that clip, like, oh, I'm done. I fucking hate this game. I had to kill this dog. It's done. Like, you know, so many things you could have done. And I'm like, first of all, if you were okay with that one, right? And like in the first game where Ellie was about to get no shit, raped by that dude that she ended up killing. You know what I mean? If that didn't bother you, like, you know what I mean? Like, just then you need to shut the fuck up.
It.
You know what I mean?
That's
And, like,
exactly it. Your priorities are totally out of fucking whack, is
you
all
know,
I have to say. Because, like, there is so much more traumatic shit. That's the other thing, too, right? Like you said, it's The Last of Us. It's not The Happiest of Us. It's The Last of Us. It's the, like, you have to pull yourself through the dredge to survive type shit. Like you said, humanity's on the brink of extinction. You got all the worst pieces of shit, like the Rattlers that are basically like keeping slaves and like tying people up on pillars and shit. That, I'm sorry, that's the world that they've set up. If you don't like something, go make your own shit. Go make your own fucking video game. You
write
don't have to, like,
fanfic, write fanfic,
write fanfic. Yeah,
like,
fucking
enjoy
hell.
and live happily ever after. You'll be like, do you? You know what I mean? But like even then, like to me, my favorite scene of the whole game was honestly the last fight scene. Now I'll say this though, like me, if it came down to it, like I prefer Ellie over Abby. You know what I'm saying? I don't even like. I was like, I was even at the end. I was still angry at Abby, but at the same time, I was like, ah, man. But you've been through some, especially how you find her. You've been through some shit. Like so, the boss fight with Ellie when we play as Abby, she killed me so many times because I hesitated to like, oh, I can't
Like, I
kill
don't want
you.
to fight. Yeah,
I don't
no,
wanna-
that was
she-
really interesting.
Now,
See, I think
go
we
ahead.
should be rewarding titles that take risks like that. Like, I'm tired of seeing the same narrative over and over. I want exploration of these themes like revenge and what it does to people and trauma.
Hey,
And
Aaron or Scully, he says like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, because he was like, this shit ain't Disney,
Right.
and I'm
He's
laughing
right.
because even Disney kills more parents than fucking DC does. Like even Disney's like
Bambi, Little Mermaid, yeah, all that shit.
Mufasa. You'll be like, hey,
Mufasa.
you want to be a princess? You want to be the hero of the story? You better get used to being an orphan. Like, but what were you saying? Sorry.
No, I totally agree with Aaron. Like, it's just, you got to understand the world that you're playing in sucks. It's brutal. There's like,
This
you're
world
constantly,
sucks.
yeah, you're
This
stabbing
world sucks.
people in the neck and their fucking arterial sprays. It's gory. It's disgusting. There's like a pandemic, and part of me thinks that the reason the hate is so much is because there has just been a global pandemic. People have been isolated for months. They're pissed off. They're sad. They're experiencing emotions they've never experienced
This
before.
guy.
And then this game comes out, and it's like there's nothing else out at the moment. Like there's so much spotlight on this game. I think that's part of the reason why it's going off as much as it is.
Yeah, because they're supposed to make me feel good. I'm like, I'm sad again. Like,
My escapism, yeah, it's too real.
you know. But again, like the one shit that always bothered me about like the whole that mentality, right? Not what you like set up like the content. I'm like, I'm talking about like the escapism, right? It's like you need to get the fuck you need to get the fuck out of here. You know what the hell you're getting into when you play a game called The Last of Us. You know what you're getting into when it comes down to, you know, like the first scene of the first Last of Us was Joel's daughter dying. Like that was right off the bat, you know what I mean? Like, and then I hear like I read another comment somewhere. It was like, you know what? Like, you know when people try to sound like smart, but they come you know, dumb as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Not stop, don't do that. But they were like, you know, I'm just saying from a narrative perspective, it would have made more sense if Dina was the one that died and Ellie was looking for revenge for Dina and Joel is over there to support. I'm like, yes, let's use again a lesbian woman at that, as a narrative device for revenge. It's only been done in pick a comic book.
That's it.
There's a whole article called "Women in the Fridge" where I forgot who wrote it. Right, it was a very influential piece. I remember reading the article. It was because women in comic books and superhero comic books were only used as, you know, narrative devices to motivate the male hero to transcend, and you know what I mean, because it was a Green Lantern comic book, and Green Lantern's ex, you know what I'm saying, got killed and stuffed in I think it was Gail Simone, yeah, and got stuffed in a fridge, and that's how he found, you know, how Jordan found her and stuff in the fridge, you know what I mean, in the fridge.
Fridging is like a full-on trope. It has happened in so much media. Like women so often are just, yeah, like exactly what you said, they're there to serve the men, and I think that's what's pissed a lot of the gamer community off, because they're like, these characters don't exist to please me. I'm confused.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh man, like it would have been more sense if it would have been Dina that died. Like, no, dude, like it just made sense that like you were just not happy with the outcome. It doesn't make sense to you because it wasn't what you expected. Now, another thing, right? That and again, like the complaints of why this shit is fucking terrible is always like, Abby looked disgusting, unrealistic, she's too muscular, and I'm like, first of all, if you weigh 130 pounds, you know, fully soaked, you need to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, muscular, because like that goes with the narrative, muscular women are disgusting. I'm like, dude, point is, she was a whole badass, right? You know what I mean?
There's that, and it's also, I dare you to live like Abby for a week and see if you don't get jacked as fuck. She's climbing over fences, she's whacking dudes with crowbars, she's like shooting massive rifles. You think she's not fucking pumped? Like, you get to see her physique after she's up on that pillar for months or weeks, whatever it is.
The way you upgrade her, the way you upgrade the skill tree is by literally taking supplements. That's what I'm saying, though. It's like, people's like, dude, like, how more in the nose do you need this shit? Like, she's literally taking roids, which again doesn't make sense. Like, okay, if I take this amount of supplements, I'm gonna be rated enough to make pipe bombs. Like, I get it. I mean, but it was like, because even Ellie, like, from like when Joe dies to like the time skip, Ellie's even Ellie's a little bit more muscular, more, you know, more defined, because obviously not to the extent of Abby, which one of my favorite things about the game, like, because Abby fucked Ellie up in that boss fight. She put the paws on her. I was like, god damn. And it took a famined Abby, like tortured and strung up, versus, yeah, it's true, Ellie had that little injury when she got impaled with the wooden stake, right? But you know, she sewed it off, and you know, but it took that level of nerfing of Abby so it could be an even fight. And even then, it was a close one. I was like, oh, like she almost killed me a couple of times. I'm like, oh my god, I kind of.
And Abby wasn't even like, she was resolute in doing it. She didn't want to fight Ellie. She's like, I just want to leave.
Dude, her reaction was the best. She's like, I don't got time for it. I don't got time for this, dude. Like, I don't.
I gotta go.
Which again, I think again, that whole scene was my favorite scene in the entire game, because you know, even Ellie, like, you know, she has like the side pain. She looks at the blood. She thinks of Joe. She's like, nah, I can't let you leave. I came all the way here, because I would have been more disappointed. Like, I would have been part of the angry mob if like Ellie would have been like, you take that boat, take this boat, and like Ellie, as she's still on the way, she goes like, she suffered enough. Like, I was like, really? We just killed a bunch of white slavers, just, you know, to fight. You know what I mean? The boss fight was it. I was like, love this scene. It was awesome, visceral, gory. You know what I mean? I cringed so many times, and I even broke down with her. I'm like, especially with the aftermath, the reward for that boss fight was the last flashback to see what like the conclusion. I was tearing up. I'm like, damn, bro, I miss you,
Oh
Joel.
man. How many
Like,
times? What's your cry count in this game? Because mine's at least 7 or 8.
oh, no, my cry count was only 1, and
Okay.
but no, I'm not trying to front. I'm not trying to front. There's like it's only 1 because no, it was only 1 because the other ones were like was held in. Like when I finished the game, I wasn't live on Twitch. By the way, we both are Twitch streamers, so follow us. This link on the description below. Shameless plug is full of fucking shame. Anyways, I didn't finish it because I wanted to finish it and review it, right? So I didn't do it on stream. And with that last scene, you know what I'm saying? When like especially what got me wasn't Ellie's words when Joe was like choked up. I would like that. I'm like, oh my god, he's really dead. Yeah, that's why I was like, fucking.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I don't know what it was that got me. I think it was that conversation between the two of them because this is another complaint I've seen. Right, is like, why didn't any of Abby's friends say when Ellie was like killing them? Oh, we thought we were doing the right thing. Like, why did no one plead? Why was information withheld? But all these characters are like strong, stoic motherfuckers, and Joel in particular and Ellie in particular do not like talking about their feelings. That's made clear throughout the entire game. Like Ellie, when she starts talking to Dina when they're having that snowball fight, she's like, oh, I'm not going to read into it, and Dina's like, I love how you let me finish my own sentences, because she feels uncomfortable talking about emotion. Joel, the way that he expressed himself to her in that scene, to me, was perfect. If I could have done it again, I would. Like, that's exactly what he needed to say. They both understand where they sit from that.
And it's the way he said it. Like, it was more like, look, I'm tired of your bullshit. You know what I mean? If you really want to know, I don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will kill those motherfuckers all over again, man. And even the lead of the conversation is, that girl over there, is that your girlfriend? And you can tell, like, this is all uncharted territory for him as a work conversation. Like, I don't know that girl's intention, but she'll be lucky to have you. And then Ellie's like, yo, my life would have fucking mattered. All these conversations feel like something that were like, these are conversations that will happen in real life. And that's the thing. Like, here's a problem when it comes down to any type of community, when it comes down to immersing yourself in whatever entertainment you choose, right? We like to believe that given the steering wheel, we will do the right thing, the patriotic thing, the revengeful thing. We will think that we will do these things, ignoring the fact of who we are in real life. You know what I mean? There's this one YouTuber that I watch. His name is Dardigan. He does like the gaming sins, like a sin counter. You know what I mean? Like he basically picks in games and when the plot. It's pretty entertaining. He was talking about the Fallout series, right? And he was talking about not Fallout, excuse me, Far Cry. And he was talking about Far Cry 3, where he says like Far Cry 3 is the most catering to the white frat boy fantasy, that given opportunity, they will not only rise up to the occasion but kill everything in sight because the time demanded it, right? And I tell everybody, say, if you put yourself in that situation, you know what I mean, in this case in particular, like The Last of Us, will you react the same way Ellie did? You know what I mean? Hell, will you have made it that far? Will you have the you know what I mean?
I said that quite a lot as I was playing. Like, I would have been one of the first to die in the outbreak.
Automatically.
Because automatically, because you need, like, the people that are left are, like, fully massive strength, good cardio. They have to be able to survive with, like, little food for weeks at a time, collect water, have survival skills of, like, building shelters and being
okay
other people.
And being basically Joel, being okay with fucking somebody else up for your own selfish needs. You know what I mean? And that's where this game, the disconnect with the public, with the general audience is, because is the fact that it's like, a lot of people will say like dumb shit like, oh, I spent 10 hours with this character. Like, who the fuck cares? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He died. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He died. Like,
everybody dies.
Everybody dies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. This is your fiction. This is your escapism. You know what I mean? But then when you're gonna clamor on for realism or a sense of immersion, and then you're gonna call death cheap, that is inherently cheap. That you know what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason. You know what I mean? It just happens. Just like that, everything fades to dark. You know what I mean? What happens after? I can't tell you.
100%, I agree with you. Like, death just happens. It's a fact of life, and it comes when we expect it or we don't. It just happens. But my biggest qualm with this is I really liked the multiplayer of the first one, and I was hoping
Oh,
with all
FOMO.
the combat, yeah, like the combat is so good in this game. It's so fun.
It's beautiful.
Um, it's just so fluid. Like you can swing from a rope onto someone and then like melee another person and then shotgun someone's legs, and then while he's screaming, you like arrow someone else over there. Like you can just like flow. Once you get in a flow of it, it's like
Mhm.
one of the best feelings, and it's so beautiful. Like
It
it's
is
so
beautiful.
such a beautiful game. I would love to get some multiplayer. I know they've said they're not going to do it, but the
No,
first multiplayer was so great. I just want more.
every time we talk about like the actual combat of the game, like I always think about like how it awakes some like how games awaken some certain level of sadism from you because you like I was just torturing but like people before, you know what I mean? I was like prone, shooting their leg, like arrowing somebody, I was doing like, okay, how many different death animations can I do? You know what I mean?
Right.
How many creative ways? You know what I mean? Like I will plant a pipe bomb, have people chase me, and like watch them blow up and see like everything. I'm like, and which is again back to like the whole why I don't understand why people are so fed up and stuff like that is because you're like, oh, Abby didn't show no remorse while Ellie did. That's why Abby's a horrible person. I'm like, well, okay, well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about like the sense of immersion and stuff like that, like, were you letting people live, or were you just sneaking by? Like any opportunity, I see. Oh, nice, another group of like pinatas. Like that's what I was calling them. Like, okay, look at more meat bags. They're gonna get tortured. You know what I mean? And I was just doing like the most. You know what I mean? Like pistol weapons stabbing them. You know, like with Abby, like
Love it.
where Abby always leave somebody like at the end, just a single person, so I can just literally beat to death with my hands. You know what I mean? I'm like juke them, and like it's starting to like you can't hit me like. So
It's so gratifying. I meant to ask you actually, what do you think of the new infected?
uh okay, I'm gonna be 100% with you. I didn't care for none of the infected. I think the infected part was like the most boring. Every time I had to fight a horde of the infected, this was like the most boring part of the game. Aside from like the
Did
little
you like
fetch
that
quest,
Dark Souls
huh?
boss thing with Abby? The
Oh
Dark Souls type,
yeah,
like,
no, it was. Don't get me wrong, it was a fun boss battle, right? But it wasn't because with the infected, it was like the same thing. It's just depending how many of them are you gonna get swarmed by, you know? Like, and I think for example, the clickers were inconsistent. Like sometimes I will make the absolute most noise with my pipe bombs and everything, and they were like, and then they still just keep going about their business. Then I knock one bottle down. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, I have a whole horde of them just chasing after me. You know, I think the infected was like the worst part for me of the game. Up until with the rattlers, when they were like keeping them like tied up in cages, then I was just having fun, like just releasing them and watching. You know what I mean?
that was
Like,
interesting. Yeah, that was cool.
but like it's like the infected in itself, I didn't care much for it. You know what I mean? That or they didn't really play with gameplay. I mean, you got like the hunters, you got your regular clickers, your regular you know what I mean, and then you got the one that replaced the bloaters because you don't fight the bloaters like in a flashback. Then you fight these like the ones that fart on you. Those are like the new ones, and now they weren't interesting to me. Like at least they all look like a giant ass fungal like athlete's feet. You know, personified. There was like no cool designs. Nothing about them was like, oh my god, like what is that?
Yeah,
So
that's how it starts, guys. Athlete's foot. Make
athlete's
sure you.
foot. You know what I'm saying? Get that talcum powder ready, man. If you start seeing it, if the first symptom is if your toenails start turning green, man,
That's it.
that's it. Yes, it. The Last of Us is happening. Now, what I was looking for like some type of Easter egg because like I remember in Uncharted 3. You see a newspaper clipping saying scientists doesn't know what to know about this new fungal infection that is like an Easter egg talking about The Last of Us. And I wanted to see like, man, can you imagine you feel like some like type of Nathan Drake is like dead body or like or archaeologist destroys, I was looking for Easter eggs like that, but
I think there's a trophy I saw in the list, and it's like it's some sort of collectible that I did not find, but I'll have to like look it up. It's one of the
oh
ones you can see
the
before you
ring.
unlock it.
The ring,
What is it?
is the ring. You get it like from a safety deposit box. It was like one of Nathan Drake's ring and stuff. I didn't get it. I just saw it like I saw it in a video and stuff because
That must be what it is.
it
Yeah.
was tedious to get. Like let me see. Yeah, for the most part, like a lot of like the Easter eggs that I found in that game were just callbacks to the first game, which was cool and all. But but since Naughty Dog's own so many other things, I mean, I would have been awesome to see because in the first Uncharted, not the first one, I think it's the last Uncharted, you get to play a level of Crash. You know.
I loved the
Yeah.
when you go down to that dude that's growing all the weed,
Yeah.
and he's got that Smash Bandicoot porn.
Yeah. I know, right? I was like,
That
well,
was
he's,
great.
you know what? You know something that the weirdest thing about that scene is, well, it's two things. One, this dude lives in a post-apocalyptic world and he's still hiding his weed. You would think in this world people be more relaxed about your drug problems. You know what I mean, and I don't even think weed is a drug. You know what I mean, but at that point, like, what's stopping you from cooking meth? You know what I mean, like,
So true.
in that world, like, what is stopping you from, go at it, have fun. You know what I mean, like, and then so like Abby and Dina had that sex scene, right? The shit that always bothered me about that is that, like, one, they take two pulls of the blunt, right? And then they just, and Ellie goes like, nah, I said Abby and Dina. I said Ellie and Dina, and Ellie just flicks it off. And I'm like, first of all, that was a perfectly good blunt. Second,
Finish that shit.
yeah, second, they weren't even like, can I see the effects of them being high? Like, they went back to killing zombie, whatever. Like, they were just chilling. I'm like, he's like, I think he was hoarding. No, I get that he was hoarding, right? But like, nobody, why? You know what I mean? Like, at that point, like, hell, like, I would take, like, I would think Jackson would have his own little greenhouse. You know what I mean? Like, it's a post-apocalyptic world. You would think that we will be great to have in that scenario. Be like, man, fuck these zombies.
I mean, I don't know about you, but me working out when I'm high, I get twice as much done. Like, I feel like if you're gonna train as a wolf, like, fucking get some weed. If you're taking roids, might as well have some weed.
Like, fun fact though, weed actually does help with the muscle soreness. You know.
There you go.
See, so my point is that, like, I was just weird. That was like, was this dude really hiding his weed? Like, how
That's the most unbelievable part.
his porn I get. His I get it. Like, if you're watching something called Smash Bandicoot, like, you will get judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think after the apocalypse. You know what I mean? I don't think. And I'm not king shaming, but people are not gonna look too kindly to the whole. The furry love, and especially since we have this dude who insulted Dina and Ellie, called him a dyke, was it? That's what we need, another dyke. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why you were hiding your porn. If you got the dude that makes sandwiches over there, like, being all judgy and shit, I'm like, eh.
Yeah,
but
because you still got that southern attitude, right? Like,
yeah,
they're in Jackson. It is what it is.
It is what it is. However, I love the game. I give it an 8 out of 10 just because when I did my review, just because the story structure, you know what I mean, like, it could have been even some flashbacks would have been better if they weren't flashbacks. Like, if we were starting the game, for example, as Ellie and Joel having like that birthday getaway, at the museum and stuff like that, because some flashbacks just not only were forced, they were predictable. You know what I mean? Ellie always have a flashback whenever she goes back to the theater and goes to sleep next to Dina. Automatically flashback, and every time Abby gets knocked out, flashback. And I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not to like the last couple, a flashback in Santa Barbara where Ellie and Joe, that you start getting like the whole meat of the situation of what happened when this argument happened, because we all know she found out. We all know she knew he was lying. You know what I mean? The entirety of the game, you start with Joel confessing to Tommy what happened, and then who else knows this and whatnot. So, but then to me, everything else was like filler, and then obviously the whole Abby thing, you know what I mean, where you have to do like an additional 10 hours. Hell, if they would have given me like a semi upgraded Abby, right? And you would have started, you would have started me at like even like Seattle Day 2. I don't care how her life is and how her life was in at the Wolf compound. You know what I mean? I just care how we got from point A to point B. That's all it is. But overall, fuck the people that hate it. Fuck the people that are doing all these death threats. You all can eat a big ass Richard. That means dick. Amen. For those who are uneducated. And at the end of the day, nobody deserves death threats, rape threats, and all that. Like, you're a different kind of piece of shit if you're over here hitting people up because your favorite fictional character.
There are better things to put your time and energy towards. Go do some BLM marches and sign some petitions and shit. Like, put your energy into some decent stuff.
I mean, there's like, literal kids in cages. You know, I mean, we have a real, research. I mean, we have so many things that you can like literally be like pissed off about, then I'd be like, okay, cool, bro, I'll sit down with you. But like, I can't believe they killed Joel. Like, oh, you mad because the character that didn't exist even doesn't exist even less? Like,
That's it. That's exactly it. Well said.
but with that, all that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoy this amazing episode. Shout out to Ree from IFLC for coming through.
Thanks for having me. It's like fun.
Yeah, you got anything to plug in for what is IFLC got going on right now?
Well, before I hopped on here, we just recorded an episode with Glynis, who's one of the mods from Facebook around non-binary comic characters, which was really interesting. And we actually talked a little bit about The Last of Us because you've obviously got Lev as a trans character. So that should be going up later in the week. And then straight after this, hopefully, we're talking to Heather Antos. We're going to give her an interview. She's a senior editor at Valiant, and she is awesome. So yeah, check out our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, all that shit.
All those links should be in my description below, you know what I mean? Or just tap in FLC. Also, we're both Twitch streamers, you know? I don't know. What are you playing next? Or do you have any idea what game you're going to be playing next?
Man, honestly, like, I think I'm going to do... I'm copying you a little bit, and I'm saying if I get to 100 followers, I'll do a 24-hour stream. What it's going to be, I've got a ton of PS4 games, I've got a ton of Switch games, I've got a ton of PC games, so maybe I'll just ask people what they want to see next, because I'll play anything. I'm a bit of a game hoe.
Hey, aren't we all? That's why we're here, right? Nah, so for me, what's in the horizon for me, I'm actually in the process of finishing Doom. I don't think I'm gonna be streaming Doom to complete. I'm probably just gonna finish it on my own, then review it. However, I just... Steam had its summer sale. Yeah, I know, right? Steam has its summer sale, and I bought a bunch of Souls-like, I guess that's what you call them, a bunch of Souls-like games that people have recommended me to play. So I'm about to test the durability of my controllers by playing these because you know, apparently I'm a masochist for playing these games. So
wow, but you're also good at it. Like, that's the difference between you and I as a streamer, is like, if you want to go and laugh at someone crying and being bad, you go watch me. If you want to watch someone that's actually good at video games and funny and charming, go watch Cypher, because yeah, he's like legit.
This is what we call propaganda. False ad. No, but well, that being said, thank you so much for coming. I hope all of you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed being here, hanging out with all of us. And for those who have ruined their day because of spoilers, well, shit, you should have known better. With that being said, I'm out. No tigre. You gotta say it too.
No, no tigre.
There you go. Perfect.
I feel bad when I say it.